This is the Cliff Yates Show. Personal growth, motivation, inspiration, and philosophies for a great life.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Cliff Yates Show podcast. And we are live tonight on a couple different platforms. I like going live for a couple different reasons. I think it's really important nowadays, specifically with AI. I hate watching something and I really don't know if it's authentic. I mean, it's getting so bad, or actually AI is getting so good. Sometimes you can't, is this really real? Or is this a creation of someone's? Because I can't tell the difference. But when someone or some broadcast is going live, then we know it's real. At least if it's actually going live. Sometimes even that's hard to tell nowadays. But I am live. And so we will I even have comments open. So if you have comments and you throw them in there and they're positive, I'm going to include them in the show. And if they're negative, I'm not going to do it because I have the power to do that. But I am live. I like going live and watching things live for, like I said, for a couple of reasons. Number one, you can pretty much, almost guarantee that it's authentic, happening now. And so you don't know what's going to happen. That's kind of exciting. When you see something that kind of goes off the rails, not that you want anything bad to happen, but it's almost like a car crash. You got to stop and take a look. So when you're watching live, there's always that, I almost said opportunity. There's always a chance something goes astray. We don't want that to happen with us tonight. But, I first kind of got the live bug when I was doing stand-up comedy. I've talked about this when I was touring on a temporary basis. I would open up for Mike Marino, a headlining comedian. I would be the opening act. And when you go to a city, it's common practice for the headliner to go before the weekend starts, usually on the Friday before the first show, and to go on the local radio station live, and the host will talk to the headlining comedian about the show that is coming up or the shows coming up that weekend at the club. And then they take some phone calls and they give away a bunch of tickets for the people that, call in and win tickets, or they just give them away and then they promote the show. So Mike asked me one time, hey, would you like to come on the radio with me? And I said, what? I've always wanted to do radio. And this is like 20 years ago. And we were in Laughlin, Nevada. And I said, yeah, I want to come on the radio with you. And so I joined him in the studio. And it was something like this. Had an arm like this and a mic like this. And we were live. Okay, we're going live. And we got headlining Mike Marino, and we got the comedy cop Cliff Yates, who's opening for Mike this weekend. And then we all had a conversation, and you really had to pay attention to what was being said because you're jockeying for a position, maybe to jump in. If there's no specific question asked of you, maybe there's an opportunity for a little punchline, show your sense of humor. More people might want to come out to the show to see you. And then the host would ask you specific questions, of course. You're actually a cop, right, Cliff? Yeah, I'm still working. Cop by day, comedian by night. But I really fell in love with the radio and really what is podcasting, but it's your own radio station, because we are right now broadcasting really to the world, anybody, anywhere. And when I check my analytics, I find that I have people watching in Spain, Asia, Korea, maybe not Korea, but I do see places all over the world where people kind of check in and download some of the podcast episodes, which is kind of cool that we are able to do this when not that many years ago you couldn't do that. So happy that I'm going live tonight. And now you know a little bit why I like doing it. And then also people can chime in. You know what? I promote my YouTube channel as a community of progress, a community. We're going to talk about community a little bit tonight because I was watching a training by Dean Graziosi. I'm going to go into that later, but it had a lot to do with community. That was one of the segments he was teaching on, and I was watching. I'm going to share it with you. And I was inspired today by a couple of different shows that I was watching. I was watching Mel Robbins and Rich Roll on the Mel Robbins podcast, and they were talking about something that I talked about. Are you too late or too old? And the answer is no, you're never too late. You're never too old to make great changes in your life. I don't care. You're 90, so what? You're moving around. You can't move. You can wheel your wheelchair over to a book and you can learn new things. You can put those new things into practice. Even you, age 90, in a wheelchair. People have done it. They've written books on it. They've done movies about it. People, there are no limitations. Now listen, we have to face facts. If you're 50 years old and you want to be a professional tennis player, you're too old and it's too late for you to do that to a certain level. There actually is a senior tennis organization that you can compete in, and you could be the best in the world as a senior tennis player from the USTA, the United States Tennis Association. You can compete as a senior on a national level. So, in fact, in some respects, it's never too late, and you're never too old. And I hear it all the time, even from people that are in their 60s. Well, I'm 65. I'm too old. Do you know how old people stop saying that you're too old? You're telling yourself you're too old. If you look at the studies and you read the books, self-talk, what you say to yourself is so important to your subconscious mind and how your brain adopts those beliefs. Even in creativity, even when we're producing things, it's so exciting that what you can create in your mind, you can hold in your hand. Your mind does that by what you're telling it, the thoughts that you're putting or creating in your mind. That's the initiation of creating something physical. And so if you're telling yourself, I'm too old, your brain will not argue with you. It will take hold of that idea and say, yep, whatever you want, you have it. Knock, the door shall be open. Ask, and you shall receive. You're too old, then you're too old. Remember years and years ago, people had a concept in their mind of what it meant to be 60 and how old that was. You remember when you were 20, 25, how old 60 was? That was grandpa, grandma age, walking around with a cane. Now we have a whole new paradigm shift as to what we think 60 is, at least for me and a lot of other people. Everybody, I don't mind telling you that I'm 68, but I feel 26 years old. I really do. I have the energy I have when I was 26, and I know I have the energy that is probably greater than a lot of other 26-year-olds. And so that's the way I look at myself. I see myself as about 26 until I look in the mirror. Then I am scared shitless because I see that that's not, in fact, the case. But I do stay young mentally and physically by what I think and what I say to myself. And I was watching the Monday Motivation video by Dean Graziosi. I'm part of the mastermind.com community created by Dean Graziosi and Tony Robbins. If you haven't joined already, join up. I encourage you to join, especially if you're here. If you're in a community of progress and you like doing those kind of things and talking about how we can have a better life, how we can be better. But Dean was doing a video where he was frustrated and he felt a little bad about sharing that, but he was being real, which is a lot of times what I do. I be real. That doesn't sound too good of English. I be real with you is what I do. I be real with you. I've taken some recent criticism. There have been times recently where I've been down. I've been beat up a little bit. I was kicked in the stomach a little bit, and I shared that with people. And I had a private message by a couple of people saying, you know what? You shouldn't share your personal troubles. No one wants to hear it. Nobody cares. Well, listen, most of the time, I am motivating. I am inspiring. I'd like to encourage other people, and that's the mindset that I'm in. And when I'm not, I share those times also. I don't like fake bullshit, so I don't want to come off that way, and I don't want to pretend, so I want to be real with you. And that's what I'm doing. I have a couple notes, but other than that, I do not have a teleprompter. I don't have a script that's written out. I'm speaking to you, just you and me. You're right, across from each other. We're having a conversation here, eye to eye, so I don't need a script because I can share principles and values with you that can help us get to the next level of our lives without having to write each word so that it's perfectly broadcast to you. Trying to be too perfect is going to inhibit us from taking massive action on the goals and aspirations and ambitions that we have in our hearts. And so we got to forget about trying to be perfect. We'll try to be the best we can be, but if we wait till we're perfect, we're never going to do anything, and we're never going to take action on anything. If you have any thoughts on this, leave it in the comments. Even if you're watching on the playback, leave it in a comment. I like to read them. I'll answer you personally. So Dean Graziosi was making a live video. He was making a live video on his Monday motivational video, and he was a little bit frustrated with that. Turn my phone over there. It's distracting me. And see, we're live. This is what happens when you're live. We're live on the broadcast here, on the podcast. And listen, if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel. We're building a family of progress here. And if you're watching on the playback, because you may be listening on a podcast platform where it's audio only, well, when you're done, go check it out on YouTube. I film all the episodes over here on YouTube. And when I go live, sometimes I go live over on X at the same time. So the comments are open. Chime in if you want to. But I'm back to Dean Graziosi. And he was in his new home that I would describe as a mansion. This thing looked like it's obviously a multi-million-dollar pad that he's just about completed with, that he said it's been I think it was a 3-year project that he's been working on. And he got frustrated because of heavy rains, leaks that occurred, things that weren't done on time. And, he was a woe is me, little bit, look what's happening. And then he had to slap himself in the face and say, wait a minute, how thankful I am to have these troubles, to have these problems of my new multi-million-dollar home, that I'm worried about these leaks that I've got to handle. And because of all these distractions, I haven't given proper time to my family, to my children. I haven't been as good a father or as good a husband, as good a business leader, because I've been distracted by all the problems in this beautiful multi-million-dollar home. And he had to get himself back to the basics of attitude of gratitude. And hey, listen, these are the problems that I wanted. A lot of people wish they had these problems. And, I found myself in that place not too long ago, like 72 hours. And sometimes I have to slap myself back into reality and say, look what I am thankful for, what I have gratitude for. And if you are making a gratitude list, and I highly encourage you, make a gratitude list. You're not going to be in a state of depression, a state of anger, a state of frustration. When you're in a state of gratitude, you can hold two opposite feelings at the same time in your mind and your heart. You can't do it. And so that's why you want to steer your focus over to that attitude of gratitude, to the point where you may have to make a list, a gratitude list. And I would highly suggest that you do that. And I was also watching today, as I talked a little bit about before, Mel Robbins and Rich Roll. And recently I've been talking about Mel Robbins' book, Let Them. And there's two parts to that. Yes, let them. They're going to do things, let them. They do that to you, let them. But then there's let me. Let me take control of how I respond to that. I might not react. I might respond intelligently. I might take that moment between the stimulus of what happens to me and how I respond. Instead of reacting, I take a moment. And then before I make that response, I ask that question in my mind, maybe within a split second. What's my outcome on this? If I respond in this way, what's my outcome on this? And then you might choose a different response. You take the time in between the stimulus, and that's something that I've had to learn over and over again. I've forgotten it, and I've had to learn it again. I remember being in a therapy session with my wife, and the therapist said, Cliff, remember, don't react, respond. Oh, reminded. Thank you, therapist. I like learning this again. It's okay to be reminded. We retool. We retune the piano on occasion when we have to It's okay to relearn things that are the right things to learn. So relearning is not a bad thing, but definitely learning to respond. And I'm going to talk about that, about a new experience that I'm having, and I'm going to share that with you because it's been really enlightening. Something that I wanted to do, and I almost didn't do it. I did make a couple of notes here of what we're going to talk about tonight. We're also going to talk about neuro-linguistic programming tonight. I want to talk about that because NLP is kind of an important thing. Richard Bandler and John Grinder were the founders of NLP, which stands for neuro-linguistic programming. And one of them, they were in college, and one was kind of studying language. One was studying computers, and they got together and they decided to try modeling a couple of therapists on what they were doing to fix people in their thinking. And they were thinking, what if we were going to help people that really didn't need fixing, but they wanted to get to that next level? Oh, that's another, that reminds me of a thought. I'm going back to Dean Graziosi now. Because in the rant he was using or saying in his new multi-million-dollar mansion, he was saying that it's okay that it's never enough. It's okay to have that mindset of never enough. Because people will tell you, aren't you ever satisfied? You're always going after these things. You're always trying to achieve something. Cliff, you're always learning something new. Is it ever enough? Listen, I am very much content with all the great gifts. And I have an attitude of gratitude for everything that has come into my life. I'm so thankful. And I'm very content. And at the same time, I carry a little bit of discontentedness on purpose to drive me to the next chapter of my life, to drive me to the next thing. It's okay to wake up every day with that goal and ambition today. How, from yesterday, how can I be a better version of myself? How can I be a better husband? How can I be a better father? How can I be a better son, a better brother, a better sister, a better wife? How can I be, I'm speaking for other people, obviously. I'm not the wife. But, you ask that question. It's okay to wake up with that ambition, with that drive. How can I be a better version of myself today? That's the comparison, not with other people, but with myself, right? How can I get to that next level? Because that's fulfillment. When we're a community of progress, it's been discovered by many people in this field of personal growth. The greatest satisfaction and fulfillment comes when you're making progress towards a worthy goal. You may never even achieve it, but when you're making progress towards a worthy goal, there's a feeling of fulfillment. I mean, it truly is the journey. Hey, sometimes we get there and we have successes and we have wins, and we need to take the time to celebrate those wins. We need to take the time. We need to shake the champagne. We need to pop the bottle. We need to pop the cork, right? We need to get wet with champagne. We need to hug our brothers and sisters, and we need to high five, and we need to acknowledge the journey we just finished, and we got to take the time to celebrate. And we really want to let that feeling sit in, because it's going to be part of the driving force going forward, because tomorrow's a new day, a new ambition, a new goal, a new drive, something that's a worthy goal that we're going to make progress towards because we're going to feel fulfilled. Listen, this has got to be a daily thing. It's never going to be a thing where we've made it, we're here, and now we're done. Give me the rocking chair on the porch, because there's no need to ever try to achieve anything else. I've made it, and now happiness is here. The happiness is always in the journey and the progress towards a worthy goal. A worthy goal, really in service of others, is the preeminent goal or ambition. Serving others seems to be what provides the biggest feedback to ourselves. It's in the serving of other people. That is the purpose. We're always looking for the purpose. What's my purpose? It's really God's purpose that we are going to fulfill. We're going to serve God's purpose. That is our purpose. When you get to that point, I'm telling you, going to be no greater joy than every day that you're alive, that you wake up and you can steam up a mirror, you know you're still in the game and you still have the opportunity to make a choice to further your life towards a worthy goal. I'm telling you, do it. Listen, I'm glad you're here. You're here because you believe in these things or you want to watch my crazy ass talk about them. That's okay. Because if you go outside these doors right here and you go on the street and you start talking to people about these things, they think you're crazy. You're a little nuts. Why are you talking about being a better version of yourself? I'm just trying to make a living. You want to be fulfilled, have satisfaction, make progress towards a worthy goal. I'm telling you, there's no greater joy. But NLP, I want to get back to NLP. So they really came up with modeling. You know, how are we going to get better at modeling excellence? Really is NLP, and it's presuppositions. Presuppositions, they have a bunch of presuppositions about that you go into it thinking certain things are true from the start. We presuppose these things are true. Before we do anything with NLP, we're going to presuppose that these things are facts. But NLP really, in modeling success, is also about modeling communication, modeling language. We know that people have three major preferential modes of communicating. Their dominant modes, their modalities for communication is, right? It's either auditory, right? By listening, by auditory, or it is vision, or kinesthetic feeling. VAK, visionary, visual learners. You know, you can tell by their language if they're visual learners. You know what? I can't see that. I'm trying to picture what you're doing. Right? If they're auditory, they're going to give you signals in their language, the way they talk. I hear what you're saying. It doesn't sound like a good idea to me. See how they used language which resonates with the preferred modality that they like to communicate with. And you can use that to develop rapport with them. Since you know that's how they predominantly like to communicate, you can use that. Now, some people say that's a manipulative way, but it's really a preferred way to communicate. Why wouldn't you want deeper communication where you can have a better relationship with someone, or you not only can better understand them, they can better understand you. If you can speak to them in that language that they prefer to learn in, or it's easier for them, then you can communicate in a way you can say to them, listen, see how this sounds. Listen, see how this sounds. Do you hear how that could work? Does that sound good to you as opposed to a visual, right? Listen, picture this. Can you see yourself in this house? Do you see yourself sitting in here watching television? Can you picture that? And that'll help you and me communicate. And we can do that with ourselves. See, if we can communicate with ourselves better, then we can be more clear on what we want, what we need to do to get there, and how we can take massive action right now, today. I did look up something. I knew only of like 5 presuppositions, but I found a slide online that had a bunch of NLP suppositions on it. NLP presuppositions explained. Let's talk about a few. Any behavior was the best choice anyone had at the time. In other words, that's the way of saying people are doing the best they can right now with what they have to work with. For what they know, they're making their best choice. And when you understand, then seek first to understand, then be understood. That kind of goes together with that. Behind every behavior, there is a positive intention. Usually people are doing whatever they do, they're doing it for a positive intention. It may not seem like it at the time. Failure does not exist. Only feedback exists. I did a short video on this the other day. Get failure out of your vocabulary. Don't have that, because if you have failure in your vocabulary, first of all, you're going to fear it. We have an innate tendency to have fear for our own self-protection. Sometimes it's founded, sometimes it's not founded in any basis of truth. That's one of the things at the Tony Robbins seminar. When you walk the fire, you walk on the hot coals. Coals are a poor conductor of heat. So if you walk intently and briskly across hot coals, you're not going to burn your feet. Now, your brain tells you that you're going to burn the shit out of your feet and you're going to go to the hospital. And so you override that thought because you're in this community of people and you're told by Tony Robbins on a ladder, think cool moss and walk. And then you walk the 15, 20 feet on these hot, glowing, burning coals. And you get to the other end and you're not burned. And then you say, aha. How many other times, how many other things does my brain tell me I can't do? In fact, I could do. I'm no longer going to take those feelings at face value. If my brain says, you can't do that, you can't do that, you can't do that. Wait a minute. I'm going to look at it from a different point of view because that could be a lie. So get failure. If failure is out of your vocabulary, you only have feedback, then you're going to be willing to try so many other different things. You're going to be willing to take bold action, to take massive actions. I think I'll try this. I think I'll try that. And Dean talks about it in something I'm going to bring up a little bit later. It's called, it's like success sustainability. In other words, success perseverance. You got to keep going. You're going to try different things. Not everything's going to work. Some things are going to fall flat on their face. You've got to be willing to keep going. I got to keep trying something new. I'm going to try this now. You can't get burned on that and say, oh, no more, never again. So let's get rid of failure, the meaning. I don't know what this is. The meaning of the message is the response that follows. Okay, yeah, we got to blame the communicator on the response. Also, it reminds me of another presupposition. People respond to perception, not reality. Don't we see that every day? People respond to perception, not reality. They respond to how they think it is, not how it really is. And so we got to keep that in mind if you're going to study, use, and implement NLP as a way to communicate not only with yourself, with other people. Oh, I like this one. The one with the most flexibility wins. Live with options. That's so important to be flexible. You must, I know a lot of people in my life, right? They're closed-minded. They're not open-minded. They have set their belief systems. They're locked. This is what I believe, and nothing you can tell me is going to change that. They're not even open to new information. And that, in today's world, is not going to be a win for anybody because new information is always coming in all the time. And sometimes the information we initially got was wrong to begin with. And if we're closed-mindedness, we're not going to be open to the truth because it might come later. If you're not doing, if what you're doing doesn't work, test something else. Pivot. You got to be able to pivot. You got to pivot if you're going to be a success. If you're locked in and you're not willing to be open to new information, to pivoting when you need to pivot, think about the people years ago. Their business was the 1 hour photo business. 1 hour photo. And then they didn't pivot. And now there are no 1 hour photos businesses. They didn't pivot. They're gone. I remember when I was acting in Hollywood and I had a favorite photographer. Can't think of his name right now, but he was a great photographer. And he had been a photographer for over 20 years. And everything was moving to digital. And he was holding on to film. He said, I'm holding on to film because of everything I can do with film. I'm holding on to film. I went to him 6 months later to get some more headshots. He was totally digital. He says, Cliff, I am totally digital. And you know what? I can do so much more with digital than I could with film. It's unbelievable. He was open-minded. He pivoted. And listen, his photography business tripled. Going from film to digital. He resisted, stayed open-minded. He adopted. He thrived. So that makes sense. The one with the most flexibility wins. Live with options. I love this one. The past does not equal the future. Nobody is broken. People are not broken. They may have the wrong beliefs and the wrong mindsets, but they're not broken. They can change their thoughts, their ideas, and their actions at any time with the blink of an eye. Change can happen, boom, like this. It happened with me over 30 years ago. I changed my thinking, my actions, and then what else changed? My results. My relationships changed. My position changed within the LA Sheriff's Department and my comedy acting business, and also my bank account changed. Income went up. Income doubled. Thoughts changed, actions changed, and so did my results. Oh, I love this one. The map is not the territory. That goes with people's perception, not reality. The map is not the territory. The map, what people believe how things are and how they really are. If they're pretty close, people are they're pretty efficient in their life. They're really thriving because their map is pretty close to the territory that they're operating in. Right? If the map in your mind says you're going, well, let's say your intention on your map is to go east. And as you're going, the sun is setting in your face. Well, guess what? You're facing west. You're not even going in the right direction. Your map isn't even faced correctly. And so you're never going to go and get to where you want to get to. It's just an example that I'm using. I don't know if it was any good. The map is not the territory, everybody. It's a presupposition of NLP. Respect the model, map, representation of the world, of other people. Respect other people's maps of what they think about. Oh, I love this one. You can not communicate. You can't. Everybody's communicating all the time. I don't care if you're in the grocery store and no one's talking to you. They got their head down. They're not saying a word. Well, they're communicating, aren't they? Are you reading what they're putting out? You may be accurate, it may not be. Oh, that person is mean, they're cold, they don't want to talk to me. Maybe they had their wisdom teeth pulled and they can't talk. So you never know what somebody else is going through. You got to keep that in mind. Now, let's see what else we got here. If I can move that out of the way. Resistance in a conversation partner is a sign of lack of rapport and flexibility. Okay, resistance in a conversation partner. Oh, we're going to go into that later. I want to touch on that later because it goes along with the new class that I'm taking. I want to tell you about. Okay, that's enough of that NLP. You should look into NLP. I've studied it for many years. It's such a good, what is NLP? In and of itself, it really is nothing but a collection of tools and communication knowledge and how we can model excellence, right? We can model what someone has done, who's success. We can shortcut success by finding someone who's already done what we want to do, right? A man made $10 million in 3 years. I wrote a book about what I did, and what I did to get these results is in that book. How many people read the book? Not too many. Why? Mystery of life? We don't know, as Jim Rohn would say. But that's NLP in a nutshell. Good stuff, everybody. Good stuff. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the YouTube channel, everybody. We're building a community of progress. It's about community. And I have, since I don't have fear in my vocabulary, while living here in Florida for the past 5 years, I've driven past a place. Now, you know I did stand-up comedy for 35 years. I've driven past a theater. It's called the Funky Dog Improv Theater here in Ugali Boulevard, in the city of Melbourne, actually. And I thought, you know what? I've always wanted to take an improv class. I mean, we all improv every day, believe it or not, when we're talking with people, family, friends, or strangers. I know I improv many times out of necessity, doing stand-up comedy, forgetting where I was in my comedy routine, forgetting my jokes, and having to improv, having to talk to the audience, not knowing what they were going to say, not knowing what my response was going to be. That was a total improv. But improv is amazing. I suggest take a class, go online, go to a YouTube video, how to improv. But anyways, I went to the Funky Dog Improv Theater website, and I see they had an upcoming class starting October 1, $150 for 4 weeks. And I signed up. No fear. Well, a little bit. Listen, fears, negativity, negative emotions, thoughts, and memories are always with us. You can't get rid of them. They're there within our bodies, within our minds, and we don't live there. Don't go there. But sometimes different associations, words, people, TV shows, just thoughts in general will take us there. And we find ourselves there, sitting with that depression, that memory, those thoughts, and that are negative. And then we can decide how long we're going to sit there. We have the tools and strategies and the choices that we can make to draw the line and be done with that. Point ourselves in a new direction. We know how to change our state. We know how to change our physiology, how we're moving our body. We know how to change our self-talk, what we're saying to ourselves in our head. We know how to change our focus on something different. All of a sudden, we have changed we know what to do. But that negativity is always there. And so, but we make choices to not go there. And so I make that choice. That vocabulary I have has no fear in it. I only have feedback. I know I'm going to go to this class and I'm going to get feedback. That's all I know. Park the car and I go into the improv class, and it was an amazing class. Listen, I've taken NLP classes. I've studied personal growth, studied sales techniques, tactics, and strategies for selling through my real estate classes and seminars that I've gone through over the years. And so, all these, objection handling techniques, communication tools to be a better communicator. But man, I learned so much just in that one class from my teacher, Kraz, and he was tremendous. We had the 2-hour class, and then he said, listen, for you new people, because there was 3 people in the class who had been there. Oh, Bethany, Nancy, and Tyler had taken the class before. But Shane, myself, Melissa, and Leor, we hadn't. So he had us stay after class. We stayed after for an hour and a half to learn the vocabulary of improv. And you know what? Kraz was just as invested and had just as much energy in that last hour and a half as he did for the first half. He loved what he was talking about. He loved teaching it. It was evident, apparent, and appreciated by all of us. And it was just so amazing. What you learn in an improv class is it really teaches you awareness and focus to the 10th degree. And you can take that. I'm thinking in my head. See, I'm already, you see my brain went somewhere else. And so you can take that to the street. You can take that outside in the real world. And you can take that awareness and focus and learn how to communicate better with other people. You're so present now when you're talking to other people. See, in a lot of these games that we play, you play a lot of mind games, really, scene work games in improv class. You play these games, and what those games force you to do is to be present in the current moment. You have to be so focused and aware of what's happening between you and your scene partner in these games that your mind cannot time travel in the future or in the past. You are forced to be present in the current moment to respond with what's actually happening, not react. That isn't the purpose in these games, even though it's fast-paced and you want to be quick. You're going by what comes into your mind, but you still are taking a pause mentally and making a choice because you're trying to support your partner in the theme that is coming up that you're creating as you go along. And I've only had 2 classes, and it's just been mind-blowing. I encourage you, take an improv class for no other purpose than for you to stay on the path to being a better version of yourself. Improv class is going to help you do that. I am telling you, if you have the great class like I have that I am in, I'm sure there are some that are just as good as the one I'm in. I don't know if that's true or not, but it could be. I want you to think about and talk about designing your own success plan. I want you to do that. I encourage you to do that. I was listening to Dean Graziosi today, and I took some notes. And I took some notes. And now I'm live, and I'm answering. I got to answer this because otherwise someone may open the door and interrupt us, and I don't want that to happen. So I don't want that to happen. I want to be totally here with you. All right, I was distracted for a second because I want to make sure that we're not interrupted. We are live right now on the broadcast, on the podcast. Design your personal success plan, right? And now Dean talked about how exciting it is that you can design something in your brain that later becomes something physical in your hands. We have the power to do that. And that's so exciting that we can be creators. Yeah, bad things can happen. By the way, this is the worst year of my life. The worst year, I'm telling you. The most challenging. Maybe I'll get the most growth out of it. I don't know. Now, when those bad, depressive feelings, when I was in great despair recently, yeah, bad things were happening. Someone was doing something. You know, when someone you love the most is trying to hurt you, can be one of the most troubling times in your life. But those feelings that you have internally are not that they're not proper in their response, not that they're not legitimate, but they are created by us. We do create that feeling of despair, that feeling of sadness, that feeling of depression. We do create those. It may be an appropriate response. Usually people that are depressed have good reasons to be depressed. Someone's died, someone's close to them. Those emotions are true, real, and they should be felt. We should feel the full range of our emotions. Now, what's happening in the world today, too many people are being medicated. Instead of dealing with the underlying problem, people are giving people drugs, antidepressants, as the scientific community likes to do. We're going to talk about that later on a different podcast. But we should feel our emotions, but we can use our tools, right? We have a toolbox and strategies that we can change our state. So we need to sit with some of those feelings sometimes, but then we need to move along, and we've got to ask ourselves empowering questions, and we got to change our physiology and our focus, and so that we can continue on our journey of being a better. Listen, we got one life to live. We need a sense of urgency in some regards, right? Life is short in one instance, and another it's long. So we kind of balance that out and take appropriate choice actions. You can tell I'm speaking off the top of my head and not from a teleprompter, can't you? Sometimes, it's hard to follow, even for me. We need a process to create a success plan. That's what Mastermind teaches us. What is mentorship, right? Mentorship's important, man. You need a mentor. You need to mentor other people. But what is mentorship? But all it is a transferring of wisdom. When somebody mentors you, they transfer wisdom to you. You might have several mentors. You might have a personal mentor. You might have a real person mentor that knows you, that you meet with. You might have a mentor that you will never meet. Someone that you follow and you model what they're doing. They maybe have a podcast and they give you the formula that they use. And you've chosen them as a mentor in a certain subject. Maybe it's real estate. Maybe it's personal growth. Maybe it's tennis or chess. Maybe they're your mentor in this, and then you might have a neighbor who's your mentor in jumping rope. You get the example. Process to create a success plan. Mentorship's important. We all know, we all believe, if you're here, you know that we're all meant for more. We're meant for more. We're meant to become more, not to get more, but we're all meant to become more. That's what's most important. Not what we get, but what we become is the most important thing, right? And we have that. We have that. If we adopt a success plan, then we're going to become the teachers. We're going to become the coaches. We're going to become the mentors. We're going to become the leaders, the podcasters, the influencers. And that's how we, you and me, that's how we're going to change the world. I hope that fires you up. It should. That's from me to you, Cliff Yates, and I gave that to you for free. It's okay. Just give me a like, thumbs up, comment. Dreams are not enough, people. They are not enough. Ideas are not enough. Goals are not enough. Bold action needs to be taken. You need a massive action plan. Implementation is important. We're going to talk about that. Implementation. Complaints don't work, everybody. It says in the Bible, grumble about nothing. Why does it say that? Direct your mind. Choose your thoughts. That's why it says in the Bible. It says whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, whatever is true, whatever is excellent or praiseworthy. Think about these things. Paul said, finally, brothers and sisters, whatever you have learned, received, heard from me, or seen in me, put it into practice, and the peace of God will be with you. He's saying, model me, model what I've done. Whatever you see me doing, you heard me tell you to do. Whatever you heard about me, put those things into practice. Do. Take action on those things. That's why the Bible is the best personal growth, self-improvement book in the world. Complaints don't work. Jim Rohn used to say, it's not the economy. It's not my negative relatives. It's not my wife, not my husband, not my brother, not my sister, not my negative, my angry neighbor. It's me. Take full responsibility yourself. No more blaming. It's all going to be you. The success you create is going to be you. When you take responsibility for everything that's happening or happened to you, yeah, it can be troublesome at first, but then you realize, whoa, if I'm the problem, then I'm the solution, and I'm the only one that I have total control over, not anybody else. Complaints don't work. All right, listen. Don't get in the habit of blaming other people. We've talked about that just now. Take full responsibility. Everything we achieve is going to be us. But we need a team. We got to rely on others for certain things. I was thinking of that Michael Jackson song. I'm starting with the man in the mirror. That's who you start with. You want to know where to start? I want to take massive action. I want to change. I've made the decision, Cliff. I'm going to change today. Where do I start? Start with the man in the mirror. Michael Jackson said, that's who you have total control over. Take full responsibility, and then you're going to gain momentum right away. It's all about momentum accountability to be the best version of you. That's what it's all about in the mastermind group that I'm in. Mastermind.com. Check it out. It's online. Dean and Tony Robbins. Now, Dean talks about, I'm not going to go into too much detail on it, but let's go over it. He calls it the epic success plan. Epic. It's epic. It's like great. And he uses that, the letters of epic. E stands for expert guidance and inspiration. P is the practice. We got to put it into practice, right? Practice makes perfect. No. Perfect practice makes perfect. Right? You got to practice the right things. If you're practicing the wrong things, you get better at the wrong things. That's not good, is it? Perfect practice. Implementation. I talked about that. I mentioned implementation. Put it into action. That's how most coaches coach. Everybody already has the tools they need to get whatever they want to get or to go after whatever they want to go after. They already have everything they need to go after it. They don't need anything else. They have it all within themselves. They can go forward. after that goal, ambition, goal, and desire that they want. They already have what they need, but they might need a plan and implementation. A coach will help you implement your plan and hold you accountable. That's what most coaches do. They know that their system is client-led. What are you after? What do you want to go after? Do you have a plan? Let's create a plan. I'm going to hold you accountable to that plan, and you're going to get the results you want. Probably. There's a good chance, especially if I'm coaching you. Then community, man. Community is the most important thing. Oh, man. Dean even talked about the media today. Why are they trying to divide us? They're trying to divide us, tell us that we hate each other, want us to hurt each other. We're so different. These people are hatred. They're wrong. You're right. Left, right, up, down. Why do they do that? How can we get back together? As a country, we can get back together because of community. That's how we can do it. Community. When he was talking about community, he was talking about an island really off the coast of Italy. He was talking about where everybody leaves the key in the door. You go door to door to door, and all there is a key in every door. And the community meets every night around a campfire. And they discuss what happened that day, and they interact with each other in their lives. And isn't that amazing? There's still communities like that today in America. Believe it or not, you wouldn't notice. No, that is not going to sell newspapers, or it's not going to get eyes and clicks on the YouTube channel. And oh my God, I mean, there's always a tendency, right, to be incendiary, right? To inflame people, to stir them up. Right, I could do that. I could do that easily. I could get a lot more views, probably a lot more clicks, a lot more follows. That's not what I'm about. It's not. You know what? If I can positively impact one person, probably you. If I could just do you only, I'm satisfied. Leave it in the comment if I've had a positive impact on you, or if you've adopted or liked any of these ideas and these philosophies that are not mine. There's stuff that I've learned, and I'm just passing on to you how they've affected me and how they can affect you. And I want to encourage you. And that's real, baby. That's real. So, yeah, I can't be incendiary. I could be. I have the ability. To do that. I sometimes am tempted by it, but I do not do it. So in EPIC, expert guidance, success stamina. That's what I was talking about. Success stamina. In other words, we're going to try a bunch of things. We want to do things. I'm going to try that out. You try for a certain amount of time, and then you realize that didn't work. I got to pivot over here. I'm going to try this now. You need stamina to get through those times when that didn't work, that didn't work, that didn't work. Edison tried like 10,000 times before he came up with the light bulb. Success stamina. Got to keep trying things. You got to have that attitude. Yes, I can. I do. Some won't work out, but that doesn't matter. I'm going to take a shortcut. I can do that by modeling other people who have already done what I want to do. That gives me a shortcut, because that's how we can learn, by experience. That's one way of learning. Experience, doing it ourselves. Shortcut way, we learn by other people's experience. They tell us, they wrote a book about it. We can read their book. We can watch them on video. We can shortcut. We can learn from what they've already done. The mistakes they already made, we don't even have to make. We can shortcut it, other people's experience. Books, seminars, training courses, webinars. EPIC, that's the practice part, right? We can learn from expert guides. Like Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi Mastermind. Those are my expert guides. They've led me. Tony's led me to so many books. Probably he's led me to the reading of probably 50 to 60 books just from what he's mentioned. And God, 2 years ago, I read over 45 books. And then last year, I know I read 4 books. And 2 of them I read 3 times. That's when I really started to be able to implement what I was learning. That's when I really took in what I was learning. That really set with me. The first time, I enjoyed it. That was great. I got a lot out of it. Probably 20%, right? I read it again. Wow, how did I miss this, man? I think I got another 10, 20%, man. The third time, wow, I can probably recite some of this. This is really hitting home with me. It's in my soul now. I'll always know this part. That's important, man. So epic, man. Expert guidance. We need that teaching, right? Practice. We got to put those things into practice that we learn. You know, from your own experience, you've gone to seminars, teaching, schools, classes. You've learned all this stuff, and you walk out the door and done. You didn't take any action on it. Well, good. You didn't take a massive action. You got to put it into practice. That's the only way. We got the expert guidance. We're going to put it into practice. Then implementation. Implementing what we've learned. That's what coaches do, right? We're going to implement it. Here's the formula. Here's the things we need to do in the order you need to do them in. And now this is how you implement that system. Start here, then that. Implementation. Then it's about community. Community. When you get around a community of people, of like-minded people, it's so powerful. That's the mastermind. You all together create a separate mind that's so powerful. I thought about this when I went to my first Tony Robbins seminar. Actually just came into my head right now. But I've talked about this before, and now I realize it's about community. Yeah, I remember that I had planned for so long. It cost a lot of money at the time, over $600 to go to my first seminar in the 90s. Tony Robbins. And I remember telling my fellow police officers in my community of law enforcement about what I was doing. $600 to hear somebody talk. Listen, pay me half. I'll do it for you for half the money. You know, they made fun of me. No one wanted to go to this thing. I had to go on my own. And then I got to the seminar, the 3-day seminar, and I found a community of like-minded people. I remember meeting a lady from San Francisco, so excited, so full of energy. She goes, yeah, I'm from San Francisco, and I own 4 hairstylist places, right? I own 4 of them. And I shut them all down. I brought all those employees to the seminar here. It's worth it. It's going to be worth it. The return on investment is going to be worth it. I go, wow, that's exciting. You think like I think? You've read that book too? Then I met some other people, and then I met some other people. And then we went to lunch together, and we talked about how we were using all these concepts, ideas, and philosophies, and how amazing it was to be part of this community this weekend. And then you stay in touch with those people. Now you have a new close-knit group of friends, right? Like my improv class. Now I have a new community in that we have a community at the improv class. We've interacted so much. We played games that first week with our names so much. I could never forget Shane, Melissa, Tyler, Nancy, Bethany, and Kraz, the teacher. I'll never forget those names. And I remembered them this well after the first week because of the games we played with our names. It made us associate the names with the face, with the person interacting. We did it for 3 hours together. And so at the end of that time, we knew each other's names. And the next week when we met, our relationships just were a little deeper already, just from a week, because we were interacting with the most important word in our vocabularies, our names. And that's what EPIC is all about, implementation, putting it all together. And I think I want to end with that because I'm approaching my hour of power here, and I hope you got something out of this podcast today. If you have, please leave me the 5-star review on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you're listening to take action. These have been some great ideas. And listen, I got more out of it than you got out of it because I get to hear these great ideas again. See, that's what happens when you learn something new that's great, that can make a big difference in your life, and then you share it with other people, right? You encourage other people. You have a great idea and say, hey, listen to this. What do you think about this? You might be able to use this. What if you did these things? But what if you read this book, right? And maybe somebody does it, and they come back to you and they tell you, you know what? That book you told me to read, you know what that did? Guess what I'm doing right now? Guess what I'm doing? And you started me on that path. That is going to do something to you that I don't even have the ability to explain how fulfilling and rewarding that will be. It will be worth more, hypothetically, than $1 million. It'll be more, it's worth more to your soul than $1 million. I guarantee having a positive impact on other people, there's no greater joy. And that's why I'm here with you today. That's why I spent this hour That's why I spent an hour ahead of time kind of taking some notes and putting down the thoughts that I wanted to share with you in a live session, not knowing what was going to happen. The phone rang a couple times. I had to look at it to make sure no one was coming into the studio. I'm in a new studio that we're rebuilding here because of necessity. We had to move, but I learned to pivot. What did we learn today from NLP? Whoever's the most flexible wins. I'm flexible, and I hope you are too, everybody. All right, man. Listen, you're part of a community of progress. If you haven't already, subscribe to the YouTube channel. You know I love you. I'll see you in the next episode.